We all know about the devastation of the atomic bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. But today we tell a story even more horrifying. A night of fire that killed over 100,000 people and left millions homeless. After Japan's attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941, the United States entered World War II. One by one, American forces began defeating Japanese naval fleets and gradually gained control of the Pacific Ocean. As the war intensified, US military command decided to carry the fight to the Japanese homeland, continuing the campaign until Japan's final defeat. The distance between the United States and Japan was nearly 10,000 kilometers, and the aircraft of that era were not capable of flying to Japan and returning safely. Japan's geography, surrounded by vast oceans and protected by island chains, provided strong natural defense. To overcome this challenge, the United States changed its strategy and moved closer to Japan by capturing the Mariana Islands, particularly Saipan, Tinian, and Guam. From these islands, the US Army Air Forces were finally able to launch long-range bombing missions against the Japanese homeland and return safely. Massive airstrips were then constructed on these islands, turning them into major forward air bases for the final phase of the war. The United States transported hundreds of B-29 Superfortress bombers to these islands, long-range aircraft capable of carrying heavy bomb loads and flying at altitudes of nearly 30,000 feet. By the end of 1944, bombing raids on Japan had begun. Initially, B-29s dropped bombs from very high altitudes, above the effective firing range of Japanese anti-aircraft guns. However, bombing accuracy was poor. From such extreme heights, many bombs missed their targets and fell into the surrounding sea, especially since Japan is geographically surrounded by water on all sides. Moreover, most Japanese homes were built of wood, which at first limited the effectiveness of high-altitude precision bombing and caused US air attacks to fail in achieving decisive results. After repeated failures of high-altitude bombing, the US Air Force changed its strategy. American engineers developed a highly flammable weapon specifically designed for Japan's wooden cities, the M69 incendiary bomb. Soon, mass production of M69 firebombs began across US factories. The United States then planned one of the most dangerous and unbelievable air missions of the war, a low-altitude nighttime attack that Japan never expected. This operation was given the codename Operation Meetinghouse. Unlike previous raids, B-29 bombers would fly at very low altitude, directly over the city. 325 B-29 Superfortress bombers were prepared to attack Tokyo on the night of 9 and 10 March 1945, marking the beginning of the deadliest air raid in human history. On the evening of 9th of March 1945, B-29 Superfortress bombers began taking off one after another from airstrips across the Mariana Islands, Saipan, Tinian, and Guam. A massive force of 325 bombers formed in the sky, heading silently toward Japan. Japanese radar systems failed to identify the incoming threat until the bombers were already approaching the homeland. When air raid sirens finally sounded across Tokyo, the warning came far too late. B-29 Superfortress bombers enter the Tokyo city at night 12:30, and approaching to their assigned targets, Japanese anti-aircraft gun opened fire. But the defense proved ineffective. The bombers flew lower than expected. Soon, the bombers began releasing their incendiary bombs over assigned targets. The anti-aircraft defenses proved largely ineffective against the low-flying, fast-moving bomber formations. Escaping Japanese anti-aircraft fire, hundreds of B-29 Superfortress bombers flew silently over Tokyo on the night of March 9th through 10th, 1945. They carried more than 1,600 tons of highly flammable incendiary bombs, designed to ignite the city's mostly wooden buildings. As the bombs fell, they started hundreds of fires that quickly merged into a massive firestorm, sweeping through streets, neighborhoods, and entire districts. Flames leapt from house to house, sending thick smoke and sparks high into the night sky. The US Air Force achieved results far beyond their expectations, creating an inferno that Japanese defenses could not stop. Despite losing only 14 B-29s and having 42 more damaged, the destruction on the ground was unimaginable. By morning, more than 100,000 people had lost their lives, nearly 1 million were left homeless, and roughly 40% of Tokyo lay in ashes. Entire neighborhoods had vanished, and streets were unrecognizable beneath the charred remains of homes and businesses.